Well, let's now bring in constitutional lawyer Olanrewaju Ajanoku. Also in the studio with us is the public affairs analyst Obani Akinwale. Thank you very much indeed for coming, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Well, Nii, let me start with you. This tussle between the National Assembly and the presidency, is it in the interest of the mass of the people and democracy at large?
Not at all. You agree with me that even when Namdas was saying what they intend doing, he was laughing. And you could see, he said, however, and you could see, however, with a sigh, which shows that the Honorable Namdas and the member of the parliament are just self-serving. Let's take it, do they have legal rights to amend the constitution? Yes, they do. And what are the reasons for amending the constitution when you see lacunas, when you see loopholes, or you see things that are going to be done differently to better the democratic process and the system of governance? And the question we need to ask ourselves is that our current electoral system, is there a lacuna in terms of how the election should be run? Who should run what? It is absolutely no. So what you find yourself is that what the parliament is just doing is self-serving. I was thinking that Namdas would come yesterday and tell us that, oh, the budget has not been passed and we are passing the constitution to override the president for not signing the budget. This is what will make democracy thrive. I was thinking they will come and tell us that they are passing a bill to say National Assembly members will be paid amount of a director in civil service. That's what will make democracy thrive. So what they are doing is just self-serving, and like I said, Nigeria for 4 years is just like exam period. And what you do is that if you cannot card the lecturer, you threaten the lecturer. So what they are doing is just using tactics. Yesterday, the president was meeting with National Assembly, and you could see the romance at the moment, because Saraki case was postponed indefinitely. A lot of interest going on there. So the reality is that the National Assembly is just self-serving. Is it just the National Assembly that you can actually accuse of that? Let's come to the issue right now. Olanrewaju Ajanoku, the legal implications of all of this. Minority Leader Godswill Akpabio suggested that they should write to the CJN to give clarity as to the doctrine of separation of powers. But what exactly is playing out here? Is it separation of powers? Is it checks and balances? Is it just self-interest, really, like Obani has said, that's playing out here at the expense of Nigeria and Nigeria's democracy?
Thank you. One thing that should be clear is that we should not allow anybody to whip up sentiments of the populace in their favor. There is no issue of any separation of powers here. The powers have been separated. The legislative, the executive, and the judiciary. Well, yes, the legislature can sometimes perform oversight functions. But in this regard, what they are talking about, what brought about this issue of writing to the CJN, was just another made ex parte by the court to say status quo should be maintained pending till the 20th of March, Tuesday, 20th of March, when the other party will have been served, because there was an application ex parte. The other party will be able to respond adequately. They have not been gagged in any way. They're only saying, give them the opportunity to come and respond to the application.
All right, let's take what the president said in response to why he rejected the Electoral Amendment Bill. According to him, that Section 25 of the Principal Act may infringe upon the constitutionally guaranteed discretion of INEC to organize, undertake, and supervise elections provided in Section 15A of the Constitution. Organize, supervise, and, of course, undertake. What do these words mean as it relates to the constitutionally given right to the National Assembly to amend the electoral law?
You see, one thing is very certain. In the provision, the section you just read out, Section 15, very clear. We all understand what it means. Literal meaning.
What does it say?
Undertake.
What does undertake mean?
No, that is, they will be responsible to everything leading to an election.
Yes.
All those things that the body needs to do will be done by INEC. But one thing, though, that you need to look at is that, look at section 76, I'm coming, of the evidence of the Constitution, section 116, section 132, and section 178 of the Constitution. All what these sections of the Constitution are saying simply will be that for the offices mentioned in those sections of the President, of the National Assembly, of the House of Representatives, state houses of assembly, and the governorship elections and all that.
Except the local government.
Except the local government. Those dates, the dates for those matters, for those elections, will be issued, will be given by INEC. So now, what you need to look at is there is this electoral bill. Now look at the provision of the law. The Constitution itself is a grown norm of all laws.
Yes.
It says to them that if anything at all, if you are to do anything with the electoral bill, it is only when there is no constitutional provision in that law of 1999 as amended in 2004. That is when you can now have an electoral bill that the National Assembly can
tweak.
Can promulgate on or act on in any form or bring up any other thing. But it is very clear when there is a certainty of a provision in respect to dates, in respect to time, that INEC must carry out certain things, you cannot change it. It is there, all those sections.
All right.
You can't change. But for you to do anything, you must now amend the Constitution. To amend the Constitution is a big job. You have to, whatever you do there, you also pass it to the National Assembly, from the House of Representatives, National Assembly, the National Assembly now to the respective houses of assembly of each of the states of the Federation.
So it's a tedious process.
It is so anything that's been done now, not in conformity with the basic constitutional provisions, will be null and void.
All right, so the argument, continues as to whether the National Assembly has got the right to amend, to do what they have done or not, because individuals like Femi Falana have come out to say, look, they do not have the right. There are also others who have said they do have the right to do so. So the argument continues. But then, Nee, let me come to you. Well, we'd like you to clarify that later for us. But let me ask Nee. Last night we saw Dogara, that's the leadership of the National Assembly at the Asorok Villa last night, in bid to create peace, to reach an agreement. What do you think would be, because these are two extremes. The National Assembly says, look, we have to come first. The presidency is saying, we have to come first. So what do you think would be the middle ground, in all of this?
The reality is that it's so unfortunate that this National Assembly has always found a way around the executives. And if you look at how often the National Assembly have meetings with President Buhari, is at any point they are loggered in agreeing on one thing or the other, whether they are prosecuting a member of the National Assembly, whether there are some executive bills to be passed, whether there are some committees or commissions, members submitted to the National Assembly. So what National Assembly has always done is to bring a broad into the society in such a way that they will bring the executive to the table to negotiate. So why is the president calling the National Assembly? Simple. There's a standoff between the executive and the legislative. But whenever the presidency called the National Assembly to come and dine and wine the villa, there is no issue of separation of power. Whenever the presidency or the executive concede to whatever the National Assembly wants, there is never a separation of power. You remember vividly well, before the matter was sent for Buhari assent and before Buhari rejected the assent, the National Assembly already said if Buhari refused, they are going to override. You can see that the tune is changing, that we are going to override 10, but leave the electoral heart, meaning that there is also negotiation ongoing. It's a give and take in politics anyway. But notwithstanding, the question is, why do we have a National Assembly that it is so self-centered? What is going to be the middle ground? The presidency needs to run with the budget. We're already in March. April is coming. The Constitution allows you to spend a certain percentage of your budget for the first 1/3, and also the life of the last year budget still ends by April. Now we are getting close to April. The president needs to work with the working tool. The working tool for the presidency is the Appropriation Act. It has not been passed by both parliaments. So what the presidency will do is that, what do you want? What can I give? Saraki case is in court. Most of the senators know they have problem with their governors. And they know that president is like the interface between them and the party. So it's all about political gimmicks. Either you are in PDP or you are in APC. It's just that politicians want to retain their offices.
Okay, very interesting. Let me take it back to Ajanoku. Section 4, item 22 gives powers to the National Assembly, right? Okay, now the point is, let me just give us clarity here. National Assembly has the powers over elections to the offices of the president and the vice president, for the governor and deputy governor and any other office to which any person may be elected under the Constitution, excluding the local government council, which we pointed out earlier.
Yes.
How does this particular section, does it conflict with the section that we, talked about before?
No, very simple. You see, the way the Constitution, there is no conflict at all. No ambiguity whatsoever. You see, the Constitution, like I said, is the ground norm of all laws. Any other law, even the National Assembly itself, derives its powers from the Constitution. But what is being said that is very clear is this, that you can only legislate on issues that have not been captured wholly and fully by the Constitution. There has been a case.
And as far
I think
as this is
Attorney
concerned,
General of Abia State against Attorney General of the Federation, where the Supreme Court also stated clearly that where the National Assembly or what the National Assembly can legislate upon are only issues that have not been fully captured by the Constitution in relation to election matters. Any other thing captured in the Constitution, you can't legislate on.
So, in other words, this is another opportunity for the lawmakers to go back to the Constitution.
Sure, yes.
And fix this particular lacuna, if there is any.
It seems to be a lacuna, but there's no lacuna there. Like my brother here said, they are only about to serve their own interests. Just for them. One of them, what's his name now?
Which
one
is
of the
a strong perception
they
that
have
we all
said
seem to
that,
run.
Yes,
we all seem to run with, but neither side. I don't hear
it's not
either
perception.
side.
It is not.
One
of them said a situation where the presidential election will be held first, and they will now begin to direct their affairs. They will. Once you are able to capture the presidency, then every other thing will follow. They say they don't want that situation.
The bandwagon effect.
Exactly.
But the so-called pro-Buhari group in the Senate or outside of it, they are saying this amendment of the sequence is anti-Buhari, is going to affect his interest come 2019. That's what they're saying. And the pro-legislature side is saying if status quo ante remains, it would not be in the interest of the
legislature. You can now see that it's not in the interest of the populace. It's not in the interest of the populace, just self-serving.
Let's look at the bigger picture.
That's what we're talking about.
Let's look at the bigger picture. How much will it cost us to conduct elections in three folds? Presidency, and the governorship, the Senate and the National Assembly, and the local government election.
Yes.
That's three, right? How much will it cost us? Then when we now split the election to additional thing, how much will it cost us? So which one is self-serving? Are we going to be spending more money in organizing elections or divert those monies today?
Is the cost a factor here?
Cost is also
the cost to democracy?
Cost is a factor to democracy, because what you find out is that globally, Nigerian democracy seems to be over-bloated in terms of how much you spend to run our democracy. That is one. Two, is it self-serving? Yes. Because you find the person of Professor Ekore Madu. He's a lawyer. They know all these points. The question is that if you look at the leader of the Senate yesterday was saying, though they want separation of power, but even with the electoral heart, he still believes it is devilish, he will vote against it. So you will know that within the National Assembly, people are well convinced that this bill is self-serving.
So it's a case of closing their eyes to what is the reality.
It's not even about Buhari. Let's face the fact. You remember our time when this other law was passed against for Jonathan to sign something, and Jonathan said, I may not be the next president, but if I relinquish this power to you, National Assembly, I've made the next president to become a dummy. Now, Buhari said something when he was in Cuba. He said, all of us, either the governor or the parliament, will live here after 4 years.
Yes.
Now, the question is that, are we stabilizing democracy by increasing or determining the sequence of voting? Is that what stabilized democracy? No.
But the original sequence before it was changed
was the president and the National Assembly first.
No.
Before it was changed.
It was the
that was the one that was changed in 2010 as amended. President, yes, now presidential.
But under Shagari was a different sequence that we had.
Yes, indeed.
It was.
But this one that was amended in 2010 would say presidential election will come first and the National Assembly will follow.
What will shock you again is this. 2010 as amended, you find out that 60% of the members of the parliament as at then were the one run the system now.
Now, exactly.
So you ask yourself, were we sleeping?
Yeah,
and you ask yourself again, this same crop of guys were the governors in their states when this law was being passed. And this law passed through the entire 36th state of the federation, and it was amended and passed as at 2010. Now again in 2018, just 8 years after, we're now saying what is important for our democracy in Nigeria is order of election.
Yes.
No, we all know that this is self-serving.
But that's not, remember,
all right, Ajinoko.
That's not the only sections they have amended or passed a bill on to amend.
It's not the first time they are doing a thing like that. No. As a matter of fact,
Section 87, they want to change that too. Section 35, they want to change it. Section 35 of the electoral is just a portion in which, like the case in Kogi State at that time, that the Supreme Court decided on. Yeah, they're not saying it is no longer the party that is bringing forth something. But they will be the highest person, the second highest person at the primaries.
Okay.
I want to believe that that one is sound.
Okay.
No, we should be very frank. To me, I believe that is sound. But when you now begin to raise the scale to say that money to be spent by the president for his campaign should not, she has been moved from 1 billion to a limit of 5 billion naira. Governors from 200 to 100 to 200 million. Senator from 10 to 30 million.
Making it more beyond the
beyond. When these people eventually come back, get into these offices, what are they going to do? To recoup the expenses they have incurred.
And governance will suffer.
Exactly. That is what we are facing.
No, right. The former INEC chairman, Professor Tahiru Jega, said the action of the National Assembly undermines the powers of the Independent National Electoral Commission. As a constitutional lawyer, is that what the case is?
That's exactly what it is. Like... I said earlier that National Assembly derives its authority from the Constitution. INEC also has its powers well defined in the Constitution. And the case I mentioned to you, Attorney General of Abia State and the Attorney General of the Federation, is also very clear that you can only make amendments or make provisions, make proclamations in respect of certain aspects that are not well captured,
clearly defined in the Constitution.
Once they are well defined, whatever you are doing will be null and void and of no effect whatsoever.
Okay, Obani, now this horse trading is going on now. There seems to be negotiations going on. Both sides are trying to meet each other.
Change the law?
To meet each other halfway. In the same vein, we hear from the National Assembly that they will retweak, those aspects and resend resent to President Buhari to give his assent. You and I mean, your guess is as good as mine that he may not go ahead with it. But what kind of agreement do you think they're going to reach?
Sincerely,
can we take a peep into?
Sincerely, if it happens to be in a banana republic, they are supposed to go. If not for that, we have hate speech by NAMDA. They're supposed to go and stone the National Assembly members.
Why?
You just passed a law, and the president pick oaths. And the next thing you come out to say that you will tweak. Which means that either the National Assembly do their work, they didn't do their work properly, or the legal department of National Assembly did not advise them properly. Because you can't come up with a law that you say you have thought over it, about 360 members has agreed, about 109 senators has agreed, and you now come up and say because the executive have picked all in those states.
No, but what you're saying is you expect that every law should be perfect. Otherwise, we would not have amendments to laws.
I'm not saying it should be perfect. But what I'm saying is that you agree immediately that there are things you need to tweak.
That's why checks and balances.
The portion I don't really like is this. When they have said that if he refuses to assent,
they will veto.
And wait, so one thing is this: they require 2/3 in the National Assembly, about 73 members,
to achieve
and they need about 240 from the House of Representatives to achieve that. Let them do it. Let us assume that they actually achieved it. Would it be lawful? Will it not negate the provisions of the law? And any law that's unfounded, that negates that constitutional provision, will be null and void. So whether by agreement, crook or wink, let them go ahead and get it done. When it is done, once it is challenged in court, I bet you that whatever they have done will go out of the
But we seem to be fixated on this order of the election. What about this one that they have said? They have included the electronic transmission of results and e-voting in this current amendment.
Let me tell you, you have a correspondent in Borno State.
Yes.
In Borno State that cannot transmit live news from Malamfatori to Lagos. So how do you want to transmit electronic voting from such areas to this place? I remember in 2000, I remember some villages.
Maybe they'll think about the how later.
Some villages even in Lagos that you get to that you find out that there is no penetration of 2.5G. Yeah. Now you are now saying they will transmit election electronically from so place to so place. Remember what happened in Kenya? Few weeks to the election, the chief electoral IT officer of Kenya election was killed.
Was murdered.
So the question you have now is that in Nigeria at the moment that we still have issues, is a laudable idea that we still have issues in terms of internet fraud, internet banking, hacking, and all those things. Yeah. And you have vast part of the northern part of the country that they don't have internet penetration, where the telecoms are not even unable to put their regular telephone services there. You ask yourself, what do you want to use? Turaya? Satellite? How? So these are the things you need to look at. What is the cost? What do we have on ground that will help us to be able to get this thing done?
So they're not being realistic with this particular amendment.
At all. What is the penetration of telephone services in Nigeria?
But they put a clause there
which is
that if those electronic transmissions are not able to be done, that INEC can devise other means of transmitting. They have that
which means we have created another loophole for INEC to make more money.
Yes. So all right, Mr. Ajanaku.
Now have to look at the cost of governance. We keep increasing cost of governance every day. You said our debt is increasing, and we are still looking for how to increase our overhead.
To increase the debt again.
It is so appalling. These National Assembly members need to legislate first that all National Assembly members should not collect more than a permanent secretary ministry. Sincerely yours, they will have us in Nigeria.
All right, Mr. Ajanaku. Now we remember.
You've got your mind on the money.
Seriously, because it's affecting us in the country. We are not putting the right money.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. No doubt about that. Now, an injunction has been secured, and the National Assembly, the leadership of the National Assembly, they have said that they would write the CJN. How do you think that is going to end?
My brother, it is laughable. Indeed. I don't know how they eventually came up with such an idea to write the Chief Justice of Nigeria on a matter properly in which a court properly gave a directive.
Yeah, but isn't that the role of the judiciary to interpret the law?
Exactly.
So they're asking the judiciary to come in and interpret this.
Hearing that they will want to write the CJN for what? Has the judge done any wrong? If the judge has done any wrong, write to the NJC. Petition the judge to the NJC. But right now, in the course of his duty, he has exercised one of the powers that he has and says, look, an injunction, not a perpetual injunction. I mean, it's a temporary one till a named date. Come back on a named date, just on Tuesday, less than a week.
Less than a week. So you know that
it's even in their favor for you to respond to what
are they going to pass the bill
before the court.
Well, according to the court, they're not granting relief, but only preserving the rest.
Exactly. Yes. And the rest is the bill. So that no further thing will be done. It can't even be done just like that. Because even if they agree, before same can become law, there must be a conference committee of both houses. And both those conference committees must agree before it becomes the law.
But this rift between the legislature and the executive, is it really good for our democracy or not? Should they always, the rift or face off, if you like?
It's good, though.
It's good, but
it's good.
Okay, so it's good.
It's good because we begin to know that people that we have, they don't have our interest, and now Nigerians are coming up to understand that we don't just vote, we don't just say Baba, we don't just say Megida. We need to go and vote people that will do what we want to be done in this life.
All right, gentlemen, Bani Akinwale, thank you so much for joining us, public affairs analyst, and Olanrewaju Ajanaku, constitution lawyer. I hope we've given Nigerians some understanding and clarity about these issues. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on the show.
It's a pleasure being here.